Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sasheen. There's this interesting conversation taking place on social media mostly because we got other things to do, but on social media, and that's fair because that's just a place that we gather now. But there's this interesting conversation about older women, because that's who I'm talking to, who've chosen to have no children or who only have one child. One child or no kids always seems to be the group of women that elicit the most pushback, right? The most pushback. Especially if they're happily coupled. There's something about a happily coupled woman who has zero or one child and has no interest in having more or any. And I just want to say to my sisters of a certain age, if you've reached that place in your life, I say over 40, I had my one and only when I turned 39. And that was by a razor thin, because I'd already said I would never have kids after 40. Wasn't interested. And here's why. If I hadn't already had a family by the time I turned 40, then that was a choice that I had made. And I was perfectly happy with that choice. And also, I was going to be looking at my life completely differently as I hit 40, 50, 60 and beyond, right? And so I didn't want, if I'd made it to the point where kids and there was never going to be more than one. So let me say very clearly where my stance has always been. I was only ever going to have one. If I had any, it was only going to be one. Because I knew that I am selfish enough to know that I can control my life in such a way with one or none. And that the more little people that I added to that equation, the less of my life I could control. That's me. It's how I felt about it. It's how I still feel about it. How you feel about it is entirely up to you. But my point is this. When you have children past a certain age, it is a choice that you make to decide to maneuver your life in a certain way. The same thing holds true when you don't have kids past a certain age, if you ever thought you might want them. The freedom and flexibility cannot be understated and shouldn't be poo-pooed as somehow not as good as if you were taking care of someone else. That freedom and flexibility in your 40s and 50s, I'm going to tell you, look around the world right now, see who has the freedom and flexibility to make moves in trying times. Who has that freedom and flexibility? Single or dual income, no kid. Or single and dual income, one kid. And that can't be just ignored as some kind of terrible thing, because when you are in a position to be able to freely make choices because you aren't constrained by certain other choices, your life just feels different. It just feels different. You don't have the same level of stress. You don't have the same level of expectations. And you don't have the same level of guilt if you make the wrong choice, because it's just you, or just you and one more. So if you have reached a certain age and you have always said that you don't want to have kids, don't have them. I'm telling you now, don't have them. Don't change your mind. And chances are, if you've reached a certain age, you're not going to change your mind. Because like I said, I hit 37, 38, and just so happened that I met my ex-husband, and it just so happened that we decided to start a family. I have a child, and he is my world. If you reach at that point in your life, though, and you're like, I don't want to do this, don't do it. And don't worry about whether or not the world is going to be a different place if you had chosen to, because none of that really matters. None of that really matters, okay? The reality is we put a lot of, or at least a segment of the world puts a lot of stake in this idea that you could have the next fill in the blank of the famous person that they're really attached to. Yeah, but you could also have the next fill in the blank of the next serial killer that's out there. And then whose fault is that? If you have chosen to come into the fullness of the transitionary years of 40 to 50 to 60, and you don't want to have kids, don't have them. Now, let me talk to my younger sisters in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, because you're the ones they're coming for. you're the ones they're coming for. They want you to have babies in your 20s and 30s, because that is the demographic that is significantly declining in popping out kids. Don't have them. Don't have them. Look around your life right now and ask yourself if the freedom and flexibility that you're enjoying, and at 20-something, you don't really know anything. Remember that chart? I'm going to pull it out again for my next video, where in your 20s, you don't really know anything yet. It still holds true. If you don't know what you want, where you're going, or what you could possibly get up to, which are so many good things, right? Why are you trying to drag another human being around behind you while you try to figure yourself out? I don't know about you all, but I wasn't a grown-up in my 20s. I simply wasn't. I was doing grown-up things, but I was not grown. And since I was not grown, the last thing I needed was a child reminding me that not only am I not grown, but I have to figure out how to be grown for you. That's too much pressure. It's too much pressure. Take the pressure off. Don't have them. In your 30s, and you're like, well, I should have kids, right? I mean, it's about that time. Couldn't you write a novel? Haven't you ever wanted to see the world? Maybe it's time to travel more. I'm not being flip. I'm totally being flip. Don't let me lie. I'm totally being flip. But here's why I'm being flip. The push for women to have kids is usually self-serving, and it's not the women's self that's being served. It's other people's expectations that are being served. Kids are wonderful if you want them. They're not if you don't. They're fantastic if you want them. They're simply not if you don't. And so therefore, if they're not if they're not the thing that you see your life revolving around, don't have them. Don't have them. Do something else. And you are never going to convince a person who does not want children that children are going to make their lives better, because we already know that's not true. We already can see that in too many examples that is not true. And I don't know about you all. I'd like to have less documentaries about the horrors of child abuse and happening in the world, and less babies. I don't want more documentaries because we are forcing people to have babies that they don't want. No, thank you. So this conversation's been floating around social media for the past few days. It's been, it's always floating around social media, but there are some people doing some things that I really wish they'd take us out of the group chat. There's some people doing some things that always bring up the question of what are women's roles supposed to be if it's not to have children? And my response to that is, it's to live. Everybody's role is to live. If you happen to be here because your parents decided to bring you here, your job is to live. That's it. If that happens to include children, fantastic. If it doesn't, fantastic. We need more of you in the world. We need more of everybody in the world. What we do not need in the world are more babies that people don't want. We don't need more of those in the world. Not at all. So I love the fact that so many women of my age who do not have children are saying the quiet part out loud, which is, and we don't want them. Or they have a child and they stopped. They said, I don't like this. I don't want to do it again. Nope, not interested. One's plenty. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And that they're standing firm and telling their counterparts in other generations down from them, listen, you don't have to do this. If this isn't what you want to do, then please don't do it. Don't let statistics about birth rates and whatnot be any more important to you than statistics on red cars. If you want a red car, buy a red car. Who cares if they get into more accidents or not? If you want the red car, buy the red car. Right? It's the same idea, even if it's not quite the same level of gravity. If you want kids, have kids. If you don't have them. And again, I would ask you to look yourself in the mirror right now and see how your life is looking. Focus on the freedom and flexibility and ask yourself, could adding one child to this continue the freedom and flexibility that I'm currently enjoying, or would it not? Could adding multiple children continue to add to the freedom and flexibility that I am currently enjoying, or would it not? If the answer to that question is no, it wouldn't, then I would ask you to really evaluate why you're willing to have children. What's the sacrifice that you think you need to be making in order to bring a child into this world? because it shouldn't be a sacrifice. It should be I really wanted you to be here. I really wanted you to be here. And so here you are. And now I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that your life is better than mine. To me, anything other than that conversation is not worth having. I'm here to give you the best of everything because I was ready for you. And offering folks $5,000 to pop out kids they cannot take care of because you're running scared of a decline in births is a problem. It is absolutely a problem. So if you don't have any kids and you're Gen X or Xillennial or Gen Z, you ain't being in Gen Alpha. You better not be having no babies. But if you don't have any kids and you're wondering and you're listening to the pressure of the birth rate decline and all this stuff, freedom and flexibility. Freedom and flexibility, freedom and flexibility. Because once you give it away, you are not going to get it back for at least 21 years. Don't let 18 and 19 fool you for at least 21 years. And if that's not what you want to do, then it's okay. Do not do it. There are a lot of you. Those of us with one kid fall into this category. There are a lot of us who looked around and said, I kind of want to keep a handle on freedom and flexibility a little bit, so I'm going to have 0 or 1. Welcome to the club. Hopefully you like this message. If I have offended you, I am highly sorry. I'm not. And maybe I've introduced into your mind the idea that it's okay that you decided not to have kids. It's absolutely okay. In fact, if you have chosen to stay childless, I salute you. It is okay. If you have chosen to have kids, I salute you. It is okay as well. But you are going to get a whole lot less flack for saying that you had kids than for saying that you didn't. So if you've chosen to stay childless, I salute you. If you have one kid, welcome to the party. I'm the president. And if you have more than that, I hope that it was a choice that you made for yourself and not for anybody else. Hit like, subscribe, and share, and join me in the conversation. As always, it's Dr. Sasheen, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.